Veritas Files here, just doing kind of finishing up some thoughts that I had recently talked about with regard to a video by Storm Clouds Gathering on what kind of a impact Christians can have. I was talking about Christians being able to resist, and I think they should resist. I think, I'm not going to go into the details because that would simply take too long. I don't have unlimited amount of time, and I'm kind of a detail-oriented person, so when I go into something I like to be fairly thorough. But if you look into it, Christians have both a right and a responsibility to resist and eschew evil. They have a right and a responsibility to promote what is good and truthful and honorable. And they should do so. It is true that, the Bible is God's revelation to mankind. Whether one believes that or not, that particular statement isn't really relevant to me, but from a Christian perspective, that is true. It is also true that our understanding of God's revelation continues to be refined. God's plan is a developing plan. It doesn't happen all at once. It works with human beings' free will. It works with human beings where they are, not where He would like them to be. And it develops over a long period of time and works with human temporality, our existence in time and space. And as such, there have been times in human history where we have had an inadequate understanding of God's Word, of our responsibilities and how it applies to us. You can see this in the examples of slavery in years past, the treatment of women, all kinds of different areas. I'm sure you can think of many, many examples, even from our own recent history. But early in Christianity, Christians many of them were pacifists. This is a superficial understanding of Christianity, because it turns out that pacifism itself, the idea, is immoral. Not intervening when you have the power to do so in an act that is evil is itself immoral. It is moral negligence. And of course, the vast majority of Christians no longer hold to this kind of position. And so, all I'm really getting at is I do believe it is within the Christians' both rights and responsibilities to resist what is coming and to take any defensive action that they deem necessary. I'm not going to go into why, but I do not agree with those who advocate offensive action for many, many reasons, not the least of which is if you're really thinking about the circumstance, it is a hopeless proposition. I would rather make a difference than a statement, and allowing myself to die in a foolhardy fashion does nothing but make a statement. And statements in the coming days are going to be increasingly ineffective, and I refuse to be ineffective. The reason I advocate survival is so that I can have an impact, a positive impact. That doesn't mean I'm going to fix the situation or turn the situation around, and it doesn't mean that if every Christian I know or every Christian in the world does the same thing that they are going to fix the situation and turn the situation around. As I've said before, I don't think that's possible. Just by nature, it's not possible. Logically speaking, it's not possible. But having said that, there is no call and no reason for a Christian to simply lay down and resign themselves to defeat. Yes, There will be a defeat of sorts, and that we cannot stop this situation, though for the Christian there is hope, because ultimately Christ wins in the end, and so we win. But that does not mean that we are not obliged to resist evil. And make no mistake, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, folks, but what is in store for us in the future is evil. And as time goes along and Christians become far less popular, the level of evil will be almost unmitigated. Most of us can't even comprehend what that means. We're not used to using that word, and we're certainly not used to seeing that level of evil. You might go rent the movie The Road. It's not a movie people are going to necessarily like, but it does lay human nature bare, and it does give you some kind of a sense of what unmitigated evil can look like. It's not quite graphic enough in my estimation, but it's better than most of the movies you're going to see. The future just, there's a beyond its ultimate end. The future does not look good. I can't say much positive about it. There will be good things that come out of it, but certainly our attention is focused on the bad right at the moment. In any case, there's a lot that could be said. One of the things that I mentioned in the comments section of his video, Storm Clouds Gathering again, like I said, if you guys haven't subscribed to him, I would. He's a guy that I, though he's not a Christian, I do respect, and he's a very bright, very intelligent guy who's got a lot of good things to say, a lot of things that will make you think, which is always a positive. And I would really encourage you to subscribe to his channel. Same goes for PD Illumina. I've not mentioned him before, but I've been meaning to for several months now. Just look him up. I don't know whether I'll put him in the description box below or not, but if I don't, look him up. PD Illumina and Storm Clouds Gathering. Anyway, his particular situation, I wanted to mention that his parents' kind of resignation to the fact of a collapse or difficult circumstances arising, and not really wanting to do a whole lot about it in terms of like leaving the area. I can kind of identify with this. My parents have the same kind of attitude, and one of the things I wanted to emphasize was that this may have less to do with their Christian faith and more to do with their age. To tell a 55 or a 65 or a 70-year-old person that the world as they've known it is about to end, and they need to basically pull up roots and move to the country and live off the land, is tantamount to saying, why don't you just shoot yourself? The idea of having a bug-out bag, for example, they're just going to roll their eyes at something like that. They're going to say, son, you think I can get out and walk around in the forest with my knee the way it is? I'd be on my back in 5 minutes. You know, they're gonna make comments like that. And they just, with regard to their age and their physical abilities and what they know it will take to survive in the future, they just don't have a lot of hope. And so there is a sense in which I do not blame the older generation, quite frankly, anyone who's over the age of 45 or 50 who isn't in really good health. I don't blame them for being a little bit hopeless, a little bit scared, a little bit in denial. It's very hard to tell the truth on this issue when it looks as though it will kill you. So I would say, though you may disagree, try to be sympathetic, try to be understanding, and just do what you can. Encourage them as much as you can. Offer your own help as much as you can. Maybe they'll come around. Anyway, You all take care of yourselves. Thanks.